morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard John, and Disembodied Paws, Nico, who has ears. Yay! Hey everybody, how are you? Helps if you hit enter. Yes, it does. A Terabad painting day. No! Let's hope I don't. Let's hope I keep okay. Oh, Kiki, you know what's going on. You know what's going on. You could come in here if you wanted, you know. She's like, no, I'm Sulk Dog. Sulk Dog is Sulk. She's like, you're just going to be boring. Alrighty. So we have Kitty Cat. And we're going to make the highlights on the NMM. And we're going to do his little claws. And then he's done and ready to go to basing. I have prepped Giant Sophie for the last part of the stream. We're going to be using white primer, and we're going to be trying to be very good about making our shadows dark. That's my goal. Oh, is Hamsterling sick? Oh, nightmares. Yes, little tiny claws. Yeah, sorry about that, Crowley. It happens, right? Parenting. My allergies are a little better today. At least they seem so. All right. I'm going to use Candlelight Yellow, Ruddy Flesh. So Candlelight Yellow is a lot. It's not perfect match, but it is very similar to Lantern with white in it. So essentially, if I'm always going to add white to my mixes of Lantern Yellow with my Rich Leather or Ruddy Flesh, then it makes sense to just go up to Candlelight sometimes. It'll give you a slightly different result because you won't have that hyper-saturated yellow that you get with Lantern. You just don't get that anywhere else. But sometimes when I want a quick shortcut, I'll just do that. I'll just do the Candlelight. Also one of the best covering yellows in the line. And I'm going to get my shadow. I'm just going to get my liner. Don't think I'm going to actually mix. Well, I'll mix one drop of Russet into it in case I need to use it as a shader, but I don't know that I'll need it. We'll see. Yeah, Candlelight Yellow. David uses it as a primary. Even though it has white in it, he'll just use it as whenever he needs to mix anything with yellow. So, I mean, it's certainly good enough for that. It doesn't have a crap ton of white in it. It just has a bit. So, yeah, it's an extremely useful utilitarian yellow. It's useful because, like, other yellows that may look similar to it, like Sun Yellow, you can see how much more white that is, how much lighter. And you also, there's more than one yellow pigment in this, whereas this has a single yellow pigment in it. Single pigments are always, like, the fewer pigments, the better when it comes to mixing, guys. When you see a yellow and you can't immediately nail, like, whether it's kind of a green shade or an orange shade, and if it's light and you just don't know what's in there, right? This actually has two different yellows in it plus red. So, plus white. So it's not as good of a mixing yellow as Candlelight. However, it is better if you're looking for, like, something that'll work better with, like, say, greens for a highlight. Sun Yellow is better. Also, if you just don't want the intensity of this yellow, if you want it not to be so orange, Sun Yellow is a good one. So I still consider Sun a very useful color, but it isn't quite as good for mixing. If I didn't consider Sun a useful color, I wouldn't have it in my box over here. Well, no, that's about right. No, that's what I'm saying, Kuro. Is the Candlelight is really just Lantern, like, it's Lantern plus white. So if you use them interchangeably, I mean, I'm about to use it interchangeably. Instead of Lantern, I'm about to use Candlelight for my NMM. You can do that to a point. It isn't a perfect match, because Lantern is, like, single pigment, like, orange phase yellow, pretty much. The crap out of any color, yes. But yeah, like I said, this is David's only yellow that he uses, this Candlelight. I prefer lantern because I want the freedom to not include that amount of white if I want to. But it like I said, it just depends. It just depends. So, all right. That said, let's get our gold mixed up really quick so that we can finish up Kitty. And then we can get to work on Giant Sophie. Giant Convention Special Sophie. Who I have it in mind to do some pretty crazy crap on. Oh, let's just go for it. Pretty crazy shit on. Because Daryl's version is so good that I need to like, if I expect it to like, for Ron to even want this model, like I need to step up. So I have to do something crazy. Oh, it explains why they aren't quite consistent. Yeah. Yeah, because the white will make this a softer gold. Oh, I use this for light sources all the time. Like, these are the colors I use for light source. I just add more white to them. But in general, if you're painting firelight, you want to use these warm yellows. You don't want to use other yellows. I thought that was only for brightness. Well, since you had ears, I thought I'd offend them. Yeah, I liked Daryl's version a lot. I mean, considering that Daryl, like, you know, only paints, like, when he feels like it or has to, like, Daryl has really come along as a painter through the years. There are a bunch of people who ended up, like, at Reaper. Well, I guess just a couple, like John Bono and Daryl, who, like, I met them playing Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft. And they ended up, like, in Texas, like, working at Reaper. So that's how long I've known Daryl. Like, that's, like, way, like, 2005? Something? Oh, there's no Luca? You know, Kuro, one of the workout t-shirts I've been considering getting is a t-shirt that just says "Swearing helps." I think that could also work for miniature painting. I may just get it and, like, wear it for both interchangeably. Fitness and painting. Yeah, why isn't there a Luca? I'm so sad. All right, so there's our candlelight. Let's get back so we can see our palette. I am going to put a little bit of the Ready Flesh into the candlelight. Just a little. I just want a little bit. I mean a little bit. Like, you can see it's just a little schmear. I just want to mute it out a little tiny bit. And then I want candlelight plus white. Yeah. Oh no, his doggo is sick. Aww. Aww. All the loves to Luca. That's sad. It's so hard when they're sick. Yeah, exactly, Crawley. Where to Reaper Con, when everybody wants advice, just point at it. It's so true. Alright. Yeah, sick doggo is absolutely grounds for not streaming. 100%. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope doggo feels better soon. Alright. We're going to start at this end, mix it, and just keep going down the line. So my white, my pale yellow, that's about perfect. Oh, you should, John. Yeah, if we don't have a Luca, that's an open slot. that we need to fill so that Kuro doesn't have to go back to working on the dragon she's cussing at. I mean, save Kuroniko, right? So as I mentioned before, we have been using rich leather for this, but Ruddy Flesh is very similar. It is so similar that actually I did a reformulation on Ruddy Flesh when I was at Reaper. So it's gonna change a little bit in the future, probably. I reformulated it to give it better coverage, for one thing, and to make it different from rich leather, because they were just too close. Just paint it, but you probably can't. Hey, Michael. So yeah, the Ruddy Flesh has been reformulated a bit for better coverage. It's changed a little bit. I'll kind of show you, actually. It's going to stay Ruddy Flesh because it's close enough to the color. Oh, after your production meeting. Uh-huh. Gotta have hobby gatekeeping. So, original Ruddy Flesh, new Ruddy Flesh. It's hard to see because, let me put this. So they're very, very close. So I kept the color more or less the same. You can see there's really not a huge difference when I put those two drops together on top of the bottle. Sorry, I'd get closer, but I'm pretty sure it won't be in focus. Focus, darn you. There it is. No. There. So I put two drops together on top of here. And my hand is throwing it off. But you can see there really isn't a huge shift. It looks like a shift in the bottle because the bottle's so frosted. I don't know what's with our bottles have definitely become more frosted. Like if you look at the bottle like here, that's the bottle I just got from Reaper, and the old bottle that's right here, you can tell that our bottles have gotten too frosted. So things have changed for sure. But anyway, so Ruddy Flesh got a revamp, and it is slightly different now. It's gone just a tiny bit. You can't really see it, but it's gone a tiny bit darker on this side, which will definitely like push it a little bit further away from rich leather. I hate to ask anybody to pay money for a paint that's so close to another paint. So I don't know when the reformulation is going to go in as of this moment, but it will be going in at some point. And it needed coverage because the Ruddy Flesh as it stands is a perfect color for what it's meant to do, but it also is really see-through, a lot like rich leather. So yeah, that's why putting the drops on top of the bottles helps, right? Because then you can see what color it really is. Yeah, it's just, I don't know why our bottles changed so much. It could be just a lack of manufacturer control at that point. So it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Because otherwise it's an identical bottle. Like when I compare them, identical. It's just like their QC as far as the amount of frosting in their bottles went to the frosty section. If you're going to be painting like African skin tones, really dark skin tones, or like that kind of really golden African skin tone, that's what it's made for. It's a good skin color, and as I mentioned, as we're using it here, it actually is a good stand-in for rich leather for NMM Gold. So, all right, we have our colors. We can now do stuff. Yeah, I mean, never match colors using dried. That's all I can say. Unless, like, it's better if you're trying to match a color to look at wet to wet. That's how I do it for, how I did it for so long at Reaper. When I was matching to, the existing batch. Because, as you note, colors do change when they dry. But as far as utilizing them as a painter, absolutely. Getting a feel for how a color actually dries as opposed to how it looks wet is important, for sure. I need to get back in focus. Focus! Focus in! It's, you know, you can make freehand look really good, Kara, if you just do a repetitive pattern that's fairly small. Like, this is not a difficult pattern. It's just S's, right? And then fill in a lot of the negative space, and you end up with something that looks really intricate. But when you break it down, it's very simple. The nice thing about the intricacy is that you can't see all my mistakes unless you really, really get close. So repeated patterns like brocades and stuff, like they're one of the easiest things to do well as far as freehand miniatures, because you don't have to make them perfect. They just have to be close enough to give the eye that kind of repetitive, soothing pattern feel. This wasn't too much. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 little M's. 7.5 little M's. Or 14, 15 S's, depending on how you look at it. So what we're doing, guys, we're going to take our yellow, our candlelight, and we're going to start highlighting the tops of the folds and a little bit down the sides. This is our first highlight. I probably actually needed another drop of candlelight because I thinned too much on that color. That's why I just went with something already on the model. That's why I advise you do that, Laura. That way you don't have to come up with it. All I did was say, oh, look, there are S's carved into the hurdy-gurdy. I'm just going to do S's facing each other and link the top. Then they became M's, and then I just repeated that, and it looks great. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. I could also have just taken this little wavy shape at the top of the hurdy-gurdy and tried to do something with that. It's best if you, like, I could have taken a bell. I could have, like, broken this bell shape down just with a line and a cap and then 2 little dots at the bottom, and I could have repeated that. Yeah, look at the details. Look at the details on the model. Whatever makes it unique, right? You could even have done these little almost fleur-de-lis he's got, these little clasps on his front. We could have done that. Yeah. Yeah, it takes practice, Kara. Like, I wasn't great at it at first either, and I've been drawing since I was a little kid. Like, drawing was definitely, I was far more comfortable with pencils and colored pencils than any other paint media, because I didn't have the brush control. I had to work up to it. Yeah, you and every other mini painter on the planet. The thing is, we can't think of it as practice. We just think of it as painting and having fun. Like, that's why right now, like, if I think of my running right now as practice, you know, as building up to my eventual goal of doing a 10K in Colorado that I want to do, I'll get bored fast. But if I just go out for a run because it's nice and it's beautiful out, and I kind of enjoy it, then it doesn't feel bad. It's just mental shifts. Figuring out what your brain will accept as an excuse to do the thing. Called you basic. You know, basic is not an insult. In a lot of ways, I mean, I kind of follow the whole Zen premise, though, where beginner's mind is the place to be. I just added more yellow to my buttery pale yellow. I wanted it a little stronger than it was, so... Your screaming weasel denies that that's true, Kara. Not every normie has a screaming weasel in their head, or has their mind actually be a screaming weasel. Yeah, still a little sniffly today. Not too bad though. All right, back. Foiled again. Yup. Yes, you are whatever you want to be. We're fine. We're fine with it. But yeah, learning can either be a tiresome chore that frustrates you because you just want to be there, or learning can be a fun thing because you're working with the hobby you love. Like, and you just, sometimes you need to, like, just tell your brain, I get to work with the hobby I love. This is fun. Let's see what happens, and just do it. Let's just see what happens is one of the best phrases for getting your brain to calm down ever. To engage your brain's curiosity. Especially if you have anxiety about painting. Like, let's just see what happens, takes all the pressure off of you. It just means, oh, okay, there's nothing, no pressure about this. We're just going to see what happens. It's cool. So again, we got a little fold there, but we aren't going to go down into the fold down here. We're just going to pick up a little bit right up here. This is just our first highlight. We'll go back in and punch it. Yeah, and it's the same thing, right? Just play. You learn so much when you allow yourself to just play, and you get surprisingly good results often if you remove that stress from the equation. Tell yourself, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to see what happens. I'm just going to play around. I mean, that's when the good stuff happens. The good stuff doesn't happen when you're stressed out about it. Or maybe it'll happen, but it'll take you a lot longer. Yeah, see? Pressure. And that's why there was no fun. Pressure is the enemy of fun. Like, the best thing I ever did was to just decide to sit down and paint, like, something I liked for myself. And to not worry about it. Like, I don't think Noli is going to be really a competition-worthy piece. But I painted her because I wanted to paint her. And I wanted to paint her to that level. I didn't want to go on try-hard mode. I just wanted to put a nice paint job on her that I would be happy with. Even Lava Dragon isn't me doing my absolute, like, tip-top, like, oh my god, try-hard mode. Because I just wanted to enjoy him. It's just Lava Dragon. I wanted to paint him. I mean, is he better than a lot of people could do? Absolutely. But is he at all, but like, as good as some things that the top painters are doing? Not at all. Fire breathing turducken, yeah. Whatever entertains the screaming weasel, Kara. So I'm going to take my highlight color and start popping that in. I definitely was using a more saturated yellow over here, so you can see the difference. So if I want to keep that, then I'm going to have to switch to lantern. But if I don't want to keep it, I'm fine. The other thing I can do is to take lantern and just glaze over all of this when I'm done. So I think that's what I'll do if I want that yellow. So that's an example of how it changes if you use candlelight instead of lantern on your NMM. You can see this is much more yellow. But this is a more antique-y type of gold that I'm doing right now. So both colors can be used for NMM. It's just the effect you want. I probably could go to my more tinier brush for these. I'm hoping that at some point the top secret will stop being a secret and I can talk about it. But I have no idea when that's going to be. Remember, we want to get, including our top little border here, we want to make sure to get highlights everywhere we want to stand out. Now we can see where it's coming together here. Too much work, Kara. I need to use my imagination for, like, writing. I made good progress on the book yesterday. I think I'm back in the game. It's taken me long enough to get there. I can't spare any of my creativity now until the book is done. I'm a terrible chaos agent. Oh, I used to be a really good chaos agent when I was younger, Kara. But that's why I didn't get shit all done. I essentially had to learn how to game my own brain. Like, the only way for me to successfully, like, accomplish anything in life. Remember, like, you have a gainful job in, like, the art industry, you know, like, in your field, and I ended up working at Reaper. So, now I love working at Reaper, don't get me wrong, but now I'm just a freelancer out here trying to make ends meet in the land of AI and, like, crazy unicorn startups. And startups that want to be unicorns but never will be. Yeah, I think I am more refined, Quindy. I still sow chaos, I just do it very selectively. And I guess, you know, I used to sow chaos among my enemies, but lately I've realized that anybody who's my enemy is such their own enemy that I don't even need to do that anymore, so a lot of my energy was freed up. Yeah, I did used to be a pretty strong agent of chaos myself. It didn't do very well for my life, though. Like, you managed to chaos agent and still end up gainfully employed. I struggled with gainful employment. Mostly because some part of me always wanted to be a freelancer. I just hated corporate America so bad. Yeah, I don't know. I do have like a part of my brain, one very strong part of my brain is very into things like to-do lists and goal setting. And that pretty much is the one thing that tempers like what would otherwise be a totally like uncontained, unrestricted chaos brain. But I'm thankful for that part of me because without it, I would never have gotten as much done as I've gotten in my life. So it saves me, really. The discipline saves me. Although it is kind of a pain, and I fight it, like parts of my brain fight it, because it wants me to have a routine, because I'm just better if I have a routine where I don't have to think about it. I just do it. But a lot of me fights having a routine. It wants to just be a free spirit. And yet when I get the routine, I'm so much more productive and I'm so much happier. So there is one little lawful part of me that that keeps throwing monkey wrenches into my chaos development. But I would arguably say it's the most useful part of my personality. Oh, I shouldn't have offended the others like that. Alright, it's looking pretty good. We haven't come in with our pure white yet to really hit our highs either, so mostly I'm just trying to make sure I've got consistent highlighting on all my folds. And I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting down here too, but just with my first highlight and just a touch of my second, not any white. Yeah, you definitely are more chaotic. I think the difference between us, Kara, may be more that I'm a control freak. I mean, maybe you're a control freak too, but my control freakness essentially makes my discipline tighten up. Like, and I don't know when I came into my control freakness, but it may have been because I was so disorganized in my early life and I was so unhappy that the control freakness saved me. I'm not sure. But I'm definitely a control freak. Like, I have to really sit on it. Oh, okay. We do have that in common. Well, alright. Maybe there's something to this birthday thing. But I'm like terrible. Like, I have to sit on myself so hard when his parents are here. Because they're the kind of guests that don't leave me to do my own thing. They want to invade my kitchen and use all the dishes that, like, I don't want them to use. Isn't that stupid? It's like, my brain. Why do you care? Why do you care, brain? Yeah, I was really tightwad in college, too. Yeah. Do you see it? Do you see how terrible this is, Kara? Are you really a soulmate? Do you understand? Do you understand the dishes? It's like, when I show you the cabinet of mugs that you can use in the morning, you do not go searching through the other cabinet where my special mug that I like to use every day is and steal it. And then you don't look offended when I try desperately to nicely ask, could I please have my mug? Yeah, so I'm sure his parents feel like I'm just over the top. I don't know. Whatever. They stole my mug. Yeah, they did. His father. His father went looking in other cabinets, decided he didn't like the mugs in the one cabinet, went looking in other cabinets, found my mug, my special motivational mug that I use every day, which was a present from my dear friend Bridget, Kiki's mom, Kiki's human mom. And then he like stole it and was using it. Like, banned from touching them. Yeah. But do you understand? Like, when you have a special mug and I made an effort to put it in a different place so they wouldn't steal it, but they stole it anyway. Like, I know this is a silly thing, guys. I do. My brain, like, logically knows this is silly, but God damn it. Yes, my mug is sacred. Thank you, Kerniko. Thank you for understanding. That's what my people call a dick move. Yeah. I kind of called his dad out while he was here this last time. He likes to just throw, like, statements out there with no backup. And he's a lawyer. He should know better. But I called him. I was just like, there's no way you know that, Fred. He kind of looked at me, and I'm just like, seriously. Essentially, prove it. I need to not antagonize my husband's parents. But you know what, though? Yeah, you would be irritated too. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Exactly. Yeah. In the end, I didn't care about anything but that damn mug, Michael. I think what it is, guys, and this is like getting older and my give a shit meter, like, steadily decreasing. But, like, in my first marriage, I was, like, trying so hard to get along with his family that I never was able to be myself. So on this one, I'm like, F y'all, this is me. That's kind of running through the back of my head, if you know what I mean. Oh, lordy. Yeah, I already married him, right? I've got him no matter what. David, like, he could care. He knows I have my little things, but he's fine with it. Like, we have a system and it works. You don't go rummaging through doors at other people's houses unless... Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I also feel that way, Laura. I'm always... When I'm in somebody else's house, I'm like, where do I need a bowl for this? What should I use? Right? Yeah, you'd seethe for days. Yeah, I was really, really... I mean, he was like, oh, well, and he just gave it up, but still, it's like... And you know what this is? Yeah, exactly. Your mother-in-law will never comprehend you. Yep. Yeah. I know, but I wanted so bad because, like, my first marriage, like, one of the relatives that I got from that really just didn't like me from the beginning. So I think that just made it harder. This one I don't know. I try to get along, but there's just some things. And I think what it is at their house, they're just like, oh, whatever, just go grab whatever, right? That's the way they are, and so they think everybody is that way. It just means I have to hide my mug better, guys. I did this time. I hid it in the garage. There's no way they were going out there. People want outlaws. Aww. To be honest, they're perfectly fine people. I do find them a little bit alarmist on the, like, political front, but you know what? My family, I just invoke my family's rule, which is no politics. No politics during family events. But otherwise, I mean, they're nice people. I enjoy having them visit, to a point. But, like, I'm far happier if I'm visiting them than they are visiting me. And they just do not comprehend how much disruption, like, I can't have it and be productive. Locked safe in a secret bunker, right? Yes. Yeah, well, I learned, right? Because over Christmas they stole it. So that meant that this time when they were just here, I hit it. Absolutely 100% hit it. And I made sure that, like, there were copious mugs in the. I hid the one that I used for evening tea, too. And I made sure there were copious other mugs in that cabinet. But yes, I learn. Absolutely, I learn. They have learned that I don't want them in the kitchen when I'm cooking. I'll ask his mom to do sous chef stuff sometimes because it makes her happy. And I have David do it sometimes too. But more often when I'm in the kitchen, I'm in my groove, and it's kind of like also my excuse not to interact for a little while. I'm cooking, I need to concentrate. I'm glad you understand about the mug, Kuro and Kara. It makes my soul happy that you understand understand my psychosis. So I'm adding pure white highlights, just tiny ones, guys, to bring this up, but you can see now how the shadows and highlights follow the surface. And we have to decide if we're going to make it more yellow or if I'm going to kind of, I think I will. So I'll finish the highlights. I know that if I glaze this with yellow, I'm going to have to redo the white, but that's okay. So I'm going to finish up my little white highlights. And then I'm going to get lantern yellow and glaze. Right, yeah. But like I said, when they're in their house, they don't care about it. Like it's not something that they have. So that's why they don't understand it in others. Some people are like that. Like if it's not something they would do, they just don't understand that other people are different. All right, let's do a glaze. I think I'm pretty good. I think I want actually just a little bit more highlight down here, and then I'll glaze. The smaller and uglier mug you get, that's funny. Yeah, that's pretty good. I just want there to be a little bit of a hint of light and shadow down there. All right. Yeah. Kara. You know what she would probably say? I can hear it now. Oh, you didn't need to do that. I'll just use this mug. That's what that response would be. It is what it is. I mean, we all have our foibles, right? But yeah, I don't know. When I'm in other people's houses, I'm always very careful to ask what I can use. And then once I know what I can use, I'm very likely to like take those things and after I use them to wash them separately so that I always have them while I'm at the house. Like that's what I just did when I stayed with Bonita and Courtney for the Reaper trip. Is like they're like, "Oh, you could use this or this or this." And I'm like, "All right." And I grabbed the things and I washed them after every time I used them and I always had them. And then I knew I wasn't ever using anything I wanted. Get out of my house. I know, right? So I'm going to grab my lantern yellow. I'm going to make a glaze with it. It just comes down to people are different, guys. And a lot of times I love that. I love that people are different. You know, we talk about it on this show a lot. But sometimes people being different makes me just want to, like, chitter my teeth like an angry chihuahua and just, like, gnaw things to pieces. All right, now let's make a glaze. But yeah, it is what it is. Like, there are no perfect in-laws or family. That's why we have friends, guys. Having friends is our quest to find our perfect, like, people, right? All right, so Lantern is very strong. It's a very highly pigmented paint. I think this is going to be pretty good, though. I just want to see that yellow just a little bit. It's like dice, yes. Right, exactly. Yeah, dice are a very personal thing. I think every gamer understands about dice. But, like, if you were playing board games with somebody who didn't understand gaming and dice, and they decided they wanted to use your dice, I could see, like, that being fraught. Although I guess there are probably gamers that don't understand the preciousness of dice, but, man, who plays with those people? Yep, friends are the ones we get to choose. Exactly. Alright, so I'm going to take my Da Vinci. I could do a bigger brush. Maybe I'll use my Reaper Zero. Bigger brush. Take that glaze, and then we're going to start over here. Start at one edge. We're going to work across. When I get to a fold, I'm probably going to stop and take off the excess because I've got a lot of excess here. Slurp that off. If I had used a smaller brush, I could have controlled the amount a little bit better. I'm just pretty much taking off all my extra. But you can see then how that's yellower. So when you're using a clear, which is essentially what Lantern is, when you're using a clear to glaze, you do not need a lot. So I brushed it over there and grab my brush, dry it off a little bit, and once again kind of slurp off the excess. But you just learn not to put your dice near anyone else, not to make it accessible, to keep it in its little dice container until it's time for you to roll something. Alrighty, so now we've yellowed up our gold and it looks pretty. And now I can, if I want to, I can do a little bit of a touch of white, and I think I will. So little touches of white to just restore, because I dimmed them down a little bit when I added the yellow. And remember, we need to have it be near white if we want it to look shiny. Yeah. Nice catch there, Kuro. Nice trap. That's a great set. That's a great setup. Yep. I hope you kicked the dice thief out of your game after stealing back your dice. Yeah, table dice. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I agree with the table dice. I always had an extra bag of table dice in case people needed extras for, like, werewolf when everybody's trying to scrape together a big pile of d10s. Alright, I think we're pretty good here. I think we've got our light more or less consistent. There we go. We can see the shadows and the highlights and the NMM, and that's what we want to do. Bag of devouring, yeah. Oh, he got so much crap from everyone and he didn't come back. Good. As it should be. Alright, we need to do Kitty's little claws. Luckily we have white mixed up. We put his little light claws down in his little white toes. If I want a little bit of an off-white, I can mix my ruddy flesh color into this and get kind of a bone-colored gold. So like kind of like a little bit of a bone color. And we can just get these little claws. They're so small I really can't do texture on them. But I'll put a little highlight on them. Just get little bits, a little bit of this off-white down here, and then if I want, I can take the pure white and just get the little tips. Hold on. Just gotta make sure I've got this kind of bone color on everything. Okay, pure white on the tips and then we're done. And we will shift him to the basing pile. There we go. All right. Yeah, SSC is different. Like cats, you expect them to steal dice, and you can retrieve it. It's not like the cat's going to get all uppity at you. Lost half his dice from people reclaiming them. Yep. Yep, another for basing day. Speaking of which, that's tomorrow. And I need to figure out how I'm gonna... Well, I guess we just continue, I'll probably continue painting the stony parts and stuff. Right. I don't know. My cat would steal things, but then he'd promptly forget that he stole them, so he never got uppity at me for reclaiming them. He just got interested. He's like, what did you find? Oh, a thing. Oh, you're going to take that thing? Oh, I'll get it later. Alright, got to pry him off of the base very gently. Obviously my blue tack has gone somewhat sticky lately. I probably need to get some fresh blue tack. think my blue tack is all old. That's why it's gone all stringy on me. Seal a tiny gap. Ooh, how tiny? Yeah, I mean, I would almost use glue or a really thick, like, gloss medium or something like that. Yeah, like a really thick gloss varnish, like the one that Liquitex does. They have a really thick, goopy one. Oh, piece of cardstock against plastic. Huh. Yeah, I mean, you could do a tiny little snake of milliput and use a. I mean, I think I would use a putty. Where'd my. I would probably use a clay shaper, like my taper clay shaper. And a tiny thread of like a milliput, because milliput is thinnable with water, and I would just smooth it. Milliput or Aves. Something that's a thinnable with water putty. Then find another stash of puffballs. Oh, funny, funny, Quindy. The liquid modeling paste is a little different. Well, maybe. I like the other putties a little bit better. Like the liquid stuff is just harder to control, whereas the putties, like if you do a little snake and you smooth it in with one of these, you can get it really nice and smooth and flat. Yeah, I mean, 9 layers. Oh, 9 layers of Vallejo gloss. Yeah, I got a really thick gloss that somebody, I can't remember. I think Drew Olds recommended it to me. It's Liquitex. I'll have to go and grab it. I forget what the exact product is, but it fixed those print lines so well in like 1 or 2 coats. It's a thick gloss though. But I had bought a 3D piece or a printed piece from Etsy, and it was just not a great print. And I was so sad. I was like, all right. Then he told me about the gloss, so I bought a bottle of it, and it fixed it. So you can use a thick gloss. It's just like, how much control do you want? Like, I like using putties, like those water soluble ones. I have a milliput, just a really. I have the super fine. This super fine white, just the little tube of it. Just because Aves kind of Aves epoxy sculpts, you can use it the same way, but it kind of like went bad on me and betrayed me once, and so I don't trust it anymore. There we go. Do I even want to know? Do I even want to know what Kara's malfunction with? Boop. Where did you put it? Off topic, okay. Oh my god. Wow. That's crazy. That's wow. Wow, Kira. Yeah. Off it goes. Yeah, you can just pull it off. Crazy. Alright, kitty cat. Time to go into the basing pile. We're getting quite a few models over there. There we go. Ta-da! It's a lot. Yeah, Mod Podge. That's crazy. Now I'm just trying to get all this blue tack up, guys, so I can make this little cube nice and fresh for its next mini. In the meantime, though, what skin tone are we using on Sophie? Nothing too weird, please. I'm planning this to be pretty colorful, so I want a standard skin tone. That's the hardest one. That Hispanic skin tone, super hard to do. Indian I find a little darker. I mean, you said you don't have this, but I made this color partially for that, Kara. You generally do this, but you mix it with a skin tone. Like a more Caucasian skin tone. So usually I will use tanned skin, but maybe I'll use bronzed flesh today and see. Let's see what kind of skin tone I can pull off. Yeah, it depends on the region of India. I mean, some I know because we have a lot of Indian people where I am, because a ton of them work for like Google. A lot of people on David's team are Indian. So we have Indian grocery stores, we have Indian markets, we have all sorts of Indian restaurants around here. Yeah. But I find most Latin skin tones to be a little lighter. Than that, but we can do it. I'm going to try bronze skin with it. Or bronzed flesh. Where are you, bronzed flesh? No, don't want you. Olive. Golden. Jeez. Bronzed. Maybe swarthy. They're similar. So swarthy is going to be pinker, and bronzed is going to be more golden. All right, I'm going to do a couple mixes, see which one I like better. So let's get our happy little palette down here. I'm going to start out with 1 drop of each. That way I can build. So we'll use the, we'll go with the swarthy flesh first. This is a bone skin tone, by the way. It's kind of like a darker tan skin. Yeah, that's getting decent for a shadow, I think. That's not bad. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good starting point. I'm going to actually do another drop of swarthy on there. That sounds like a very individualistic cat. I'm going to do another drop of the swarthy flesh. Yeah, that's looking about right. Yeah, I think this is the range I want. And I'm probably going to go up with bronzed, but we'll see. Alright, so I'm going to start with a 50-50, because I'm going to start with my shadow. I'm going to do 1, 2, then do another drop of this. So yeah, the best results I've ever had for like Hispanic skin tones is taking something like similar to tan skin or swarthy and mixing it with ruddy flesh. So we'll start with this because this is a shadow color. And the color we started with is here, so you can see that this has lightened it, and it's made it a little bit more fleshy, a little less like golden brown. Although I think I am going to do a test mix of the bronzed skin and the ruddy. I think it's just not going to look quite as good. Ooh. So the thing about the bronzed flesh is it's a little bit lighter, and it's going to bleach it out, I think, a little bit more. But it might be a good highlight for this. Yeah, so this is giving it a lot more yellow. It's not looking quite as natural. So the bronze skin, not a good match. You can see that's much yellower. I'm going to start there instead. That's funny. SSC is full of personality. Alrighty. And I got a card here so I can keep track of what colors I'm using for the skin tone and other things. Let's put this on and see how it works. It's going to dry probably looking pretty golden, and that's fine. Oh, sad, like he was humming a little tune. That's funny. Now, since this is a model that has been blown up a fair bit, right? It was not necessarily sculpted to be at this scale. It was sculpted to be printed at, what, a 32 or whatever the standard is these days at Reaper. So, we have the option to go a big comic book on this. Because the sculpt translates that way, because it's been brought up from a tiny sculpt. We only have a tiny bit of skin, so not much. Should be super fast to do. I want to make sure I get all of this down in her chin. I'm just not even going to bother like worrying about if I'm getting paint on surrounding areas. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so base coat. Looking forward to wearing my Burgundy Wine t-shirt at Reaper, at ReaperCon. I'll let this dry. I think I do need a Swearing Helps t-shirt. Kuro went to see your Mod Podge disaster. Wow, it's staying wet for a while. Come on, paint. I guess while I do that, I'll line around it. I think I'm going to make her hair black, but I'm going to maybe put some color in at the ends, like she's dyed the ends different colors. I'm thinking like blue-green, but maybe maybe not. I have to really commit to an armor color before I make that decision. Just coming in, throwing a shadow in here along the edge of the armor. And I'll throw another bit of this. This is brown liner mixed with a little bit of russet, remember? Throwing a little bit of this into the shadow here as well. My base coat's a little thin, so I'm considering doing another layer. Hey, Carly, thanks for coming. Have a good rest of your day. But yeah, this eye is almost completely covered, so we won't have to actually paint that eye. So we only have one eyeball to paint. Super easy. Like, so little skin to paint, plus only one eyeball equals super fast. But as this dries, hopefully you can see that it's a pretty good starting for Latinx skin tones. Pretty good start color. If I was going to go darker, like some of the Indian people I know, I might add a little bit of like a reddish brown, like ruddy leather, just a tiny bit, if I wanted to go darker. I'm going to make sure I've got a nice solid coat on this. So I'm going to not use as much paint as I did the first time, which is partially why it took so long to dry. It looks a little darker on the camera, I think, because we have all this white all around it. It's actually a little bit lighter in person. You'll end up seeing that once we get colors on the rest of the model. The white primer always will blow things out a little bit on camera, and that's actually why I paint on the bones material when I can, guys. Because it's the gray works better. It doesn't make colors look different. Because the white can totally make everything around it look darker. And that's just a function of our human eyes. Like, it's not just the camera, it's just our eyes. Like, if I put... Here, I'll even demonstrate. Let's do an optical illusion. I'm going to put this same color on a black paint cap. And it's going to look like a light brown. And then we look here, it's going to look like a dark brown. See it? And that's just something our eyes do, is our eyes always adjust to what's next to the color. We never see a color in isolation. Not ever. Our eyes always adjust based on what's around. And if we are only looking at, say, like a wall painted a color, then our eyes are adjusting based on the lighting. All right, so that's a pretty good starting there. Now I want to go up. I'm going to mix a couple of potential highlights. One is going to be very standard. Is going to be the ruddy flesh plus the swarthy flesh plus white. Or in this case, I'll use the zenith. Remember, new color going to come out eventually. Zenith yellow. Pretty much your one-stop highlight color. That's what it's meant to be anyway. So I'm going to try a couple mixes here. So let's try just that with the yellow. It's a very, very yellow white, so it's mostly going to be the white. And yeah, that's pretty good skin tone actually. It looks a lot like bronze skin. It's almost exactly the same color, which is probably why my gut was saying that bronze skin was a good option. Let's just put bronze skin right next to it. Yeah, it's almost perfectly the same color. Now I want to just drop a drop in there. Come on. Okay, so bronze skin's a little lighter. You can see it's a little lighter and a little pinker, but it's very close. So I could have just used bronze skin, or bronze skin, which is a color not many people use, but since we're painting something to look Latin American, to look like that skin tone that's kind of midway between dark and lighter. So let's use that for our highlight on the skin tone and see what we can do. And I think I have actually I should actually reference one of my art books, which has a really pretty treatment of this kind of skin tone. One second, let's see if I can find it real quick. Yes. I think it's in this one. No, maybe not. No, it's not. One second. I just organized my art books again. And I'm trying to figure out where I stuffed this one. Probably, there we go. Next to the other face stuff. That's where it is. Yeah, this book. Now this is a little bit darker, and it's much more complicated. But this skin tone is what you're looking for. Now, if we look at this, we see that I'm a little bit too yellow. I probably need some more red tones, but remember, we take our red tones and we bring them into this area later, remember? We glaze with the red tones. So actually, when I look at this, I'm not far off some of these mid gold tones. I think I could go a little bit pinker with the skin tone if I wanted to hit this. But I think this is going to be acceptable. I think we're going to get there. And that also is a portrait. It's a lot bigger than what we're doing, so we do have to kind of like work with abbreviating, simplifying what we're doing. So if I look at that skin next to Sophie, yeah, I've gone a lot yellower. But then, since we're looking at this, why don't we grab our magenta and see what we can do? Let me see actually what colors she actually used here. That's the cool thing, is I think some of these she actually will give recipes for. Here we go. She actually has a lot of people, all different skin tones in this book. And she has all different lighting conditions in this book. So there's like cool shadow and stuff. Here we go. Okay, so that's interesting. And it also, this actually, so this is the person, the actual photos she based the portrait on. And I want to talk about this because when you're working from a photo or doing anything, it just shows you that the light is really, this color's going to be dependent on the light. So there's a picture of her subject, right? And the skin tone looks very golden there. Very light, very golden. But then you look at this, same subject, different lighting, different color. So what this means, folks, is that you've got wiggle room when you're doing skin tones. Even the same subject can look like having a totally different skin tone depending on the lighting. So a portrait artist then, as a portrait artist, she talks about how she is pretty much like kind of putting the two together and choosing a pleasing effect. And her block-in looks like this. So she is going very yellow with the warm side of the face. And she's going much more of an orangey pink on the dark side of the face, right? And then she's adjusting it, bringing the golden colors in and bleaching this out, right? So we can start yellow, but we probably should take our shadows more rosy. And I like to do this with magenta better than using a standard red. So now I have to find my magenta, which is going to be a challenge because, like, there it is. Because I just reorganized my paint drawer. So this book is really, really helpful when you're looking at skin tones. It is Painting Beautiful Skin Tones with Color and Light in Oil Pastel. Painting Beautiful Skin Tones with Color and Light, ampersand, with the lovely Hispanic lady on the cover. In oil pastel and watercolor. And so she shows different, she uses different mediums. But color is color. So you can utilize all of that. So I think my light color is actually very close to where her highlight ground is. But I'm going to mix, I'm going to actually use this color I mixed earlier. I'm going to throw some magenta into it and see if I can get close to, like, her shadow color. Because why not? Why not make it a color experiment? Yeah, actually. It needs to be a little lighter, I think. More like that. Yeah, that's it. So she's using a ground color of this in her shadows. Very warm shadow. And we can do that. And I can pretty much, even though she's doing this in pastels, I think this is a pastels. Maybe it's oils. She did her sketch in charcoal. No, painting. She is using oils. Okay. But even if it was pastels, we could still approximate colors. And if you should try to work with I really like working from portraiture books. I feel like they really make me think about what I'm doing, and they make me mess up my, my process a little bit. So we're going to paint her entire shadow side in this pinkish color, just like she did on that portrait. There isn't much of it. And then I'm going to look. That's all the shadow. I'm going to put a little bit of this, though, under her cheek, because she does have a little bit there. So we're going to put a little bit of warm color there. So the difference in what I was starting as and what she does is she works her rosy tones in right off the bat. Whereas I like to put down a ground color and then work my rosy tones over the top. And it really doesn't matter as long as you get your rosy tones in. And there's going to be more around the nose. And usually there's a little bit around the eyes as well. Take my base color and work that over the top a little bit. Mess it all up. So then when we get closer, we're getting that in there. Again, though, the white is making it bleach out, so I guess we're better if we're kind of probably here. Yeah, so now let's just block in a little bit of our highlight color, which is more like her ground color on her light. And I've definitely could make this a little stronger. I added a little bit too much water to it. So I need to fix that. So I'm going to just add a little bit more paint. And I know my Zenith Yellow is like right just fine because she's gone even yellower with her base. And she's partially working like that, by the way, because she's working in oils. So she doesn't have the leisure, the ability like I do to paint over something and block it out. She can't glaze over her oils until they're absolutely dry. So instead she's starting with these colors because she knows she's going to be mixing. Because oils. Hey, Roger. So then let's bring in this lighter color. Which, yeah, if you're gonna do like anything, and actually I need to remember this for my my new acrylics, my new slow drying acrylics, which work like oils. I need to remember this, that, you know, if I wanna work a light warm area, I'm gonna have to base it light and warm, right? Because I'm, again, although those dry a little faster, those dry quite a bit faster. So we're just kind of working in here, trying to bring a little bit of highlight. Switch up our colors here. I think what I'm going to do, actually, guys, you know what? I'm going to grab some black, and I'm going to actually put it right around her face so that we can see a little better how the skin tone is actually going to look. And this is the problem with white primer, and I've run into this before. And it's why I always line around things, but I always need that at least a dark line around the face. But here, I'm going to actually grab just Black Knight liner, even though it's not a true black. I'm just going to add it around her face. I'm just going to use that liner. And that's going to bring the colors out better so you guys can see them. Because it looks really dark on camera right now because of all this white primer. So even though Black Knight is actually a dark indigo, it'll work because it's a near black. And I can always paint over it with a true black if I wish. Chunky? David mentioned something to me about that. Like, he felt that black was the smoothest primer. And I was like, question mark, question mark? Maybe, but I can't see against it. I've never had a problem with a good white primer. I mean, this is Games Workshop. I think it's just fine. So, okay. So now we can see the color a little bit better. Although it's still looking very yellow. But I think you're seeing kind of where I'm going with it, and I think you're seeing that this is to me, this looks very appropriate for that ethnicity. What brand do you use? What brand of primer do you use, Kara? I need a little bit. Need more shadow. What brand of gray do you use? I used to love gray primer. Bring in more of the reds. Army Painter and Reaper Gray. See, Army Painter just drives me nuts. I hate Army Painter. Or are you always brushing on? Yeah, I use GW Rattle Can. Oh, I have a little 3D print artifact there. There. Oh, always brush on. Interesting. That's cool. Yeah. It's not my jazz, but it's cool. I'm going to put her eyebrows in. I'm sure her hair is going to be dark. I just don't know exactly what color of dark at this point, so. I have to yell at Bobby for giving her giant eyebrows. Although, you know, they look fine at 28. This is how you can tell the model is made to be printed smaller. But it's good enough to be printed higher. And if I really get irritated at these eyebrows, I'll just shave them off. She'll be Pink Floyd for a while, and then in the wall, and then we'll just paint them on. David recently did that with the model. He couldn't stand. I think it was Swifty. He couldn't stand the eyebrows. Thick brows are hot and also trending. All right. Well, we'll be trendy then. I'm just going to fill in the eyes as well. So as you can see, Black Knight liner, which is also a new color, has it's the color of Death Knight black liner, but as you can see, it covers actually much better. Sure, Turgeon, you have a great afternoon too. Yeah, I mean, I've always used spray on, and if weather was bad, I just used it in the garage, or I would open the door and spray out, which is something Jennifer and I used to do. It just makes it easier for painters, Quindy, because it's so hard to freehand them nicely if you're a kind of a, beginning to intermediate level. So hopefully, is this skin tone kind of what you're looking for though, Karen? Now that you can see it a little better, hopefully. It still looks a little dark on camera. It looks a little lighter in person. But it feels correct to me. Like, I could definitely tweak it a little bit. But yeah, so use either Ruddy Flesh or Rich Leather. You could use either. Ruddy's probably actually your better bet, though, because it was built for skin tones, and two, it's just that little bit darker, so when you're trying to build the shadows out, I think it just gives you that much of a better result. Gone a little bit far with my rosy tones here, so I can tone those back a little by grabbing my base color and mixing it with a little bit of my highlight color, kind of bringing that in to smooth it out. So I still keep the rosy tones, but I want them to retreat just a little bit. Don't want it too pink or it won't look right. Yeah, that's because it's very hard. I mean, I figured this out because of portraiture books. I had to turn to portraiture painting and really analyze the colors because nobody really puts out a good skin tone for this, except for Ruddy Flesh, but then you have to mix something with it. So, but yeah, this is pretty convincing to my eye. And I still haven't added like some really nice golden highlights. But yeah, it's looking pretty right. But yeah, I love this book. I love this book so much. There's also Asian. She does some Asian, like she does a lot of kids with portraits. But yeah, so she does a whole host of different skin tones in this book, and they're really nice. If you have a good sense for colors and matching, it's a good one. So yeah, I feel like this skin tone is actually really good for this. And we might carve those brows off, or we might not. I don't know. I might minimize them with paint. I can, yeah, I'll put it in supply. I'll take a quick picture. Or maybe I'll get a link. Hold on. Except Amazon links are so terrible. I'd rather just put a picture of it and let you guys search it out where you want it. There. So then you should find it easily on Amazon. I'll put it over on Supply Talk. Supplies Talk. It's also the book that taught me about how to mix shadow colors, by the way, Kara. Like as far as mixing in the complement of the ground color and then the complement of the light color. Like that's how this is the book that taught me how to do that. Yeah, I may shave them. I may just try to minimize them with paint. We'll see what I can do. Hold on, let me put this picture on my on my Discord for Kara. There we go. It is now in the supplies talk. Boom. Excellent. Mixing. Yes, mixing. You can handle it. But yeah, so that's kind of how it's looking. Like I said, in person it's just a little bit lighter. As we add the colors onto the model, we'll be able to get a better, more realistic idea of what the skin tone looks like, although that's close. But yeah. Yes, that's true too, Quindy. Yeah. Yeah, they're purely an aid for painters who are not like good enough to freehand the eyebrows. But we'll see if I can minimize them a little bit with paint, and if I can't, then we'll take a knife to it. Sorry, Bobby. I think this is a Bobby. No, actually, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Bobby. I think it's a Bobby sculpt. All right, y'all. Well, we got to start. We got to start on our Sophie. She should be fun. I don't know if there is. That's a John question. And she is, I don't think I've got the little one either. So, yeah, that's totally a John question, Quindy. If there's an SKU on her. I guess Convention Special Sophie would just be the name, but I don't know. Or maybe Convention Special Sci-Fi Sophie. We're definitely doing hazard stripes on the chainsword, I can tell you that. Oh, super. Thanks, Quindy. Yeah, I wasn't sure. He just handed her to me, so I didn't get a blister pack or anything. Or a box. Alright, yes, thank you all for hanging out. I'm glad you had ears today, Kuro. And I guess Kiki's probably going, Mom, where's my walk? About now. Although she hasn't come in to interrupt. You too, Kara. We'll see you around. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow is basing day. So we'll work more on our bark thing. Our bark thing. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Quindy, for modding. And Kuro also. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.